Okay, so you guys go public in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
You're navigating this new relationship with being a public company.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, 2008 hits and things get a little
yeah.
crazy.
That was heavy.
What's going on at Volcom at that point?
Yeah, well, at that point, the whole recession hit, and it was really gnarly. So just a lot of cutting back, a lot of budgets cutting in half, and getting rid of legacy team riders. I mean, it was a really, really tough time. Again, Wooly was he did a really good job, I think, of managing the marketing department, because he knew that was truly the fuel for the brand.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the cuts, unfortunately, were coming in like as employees and different types of things. I mean, everybody in the whole world obviously got hit, and the action sports definitely took a big hit. So yeah, it was a tough time. It was a tough time for everybody.
Yeah, I remember, a lot of the public companies took a really bad hit. Some of them were paying for it for years.
Yeah.
You guys seem to have come out fairly unscathed, and I think you guys had a successful IPO. You guys got through the recession, and then when did Caring come along?
Yeah, that wasn't until 2011, so I was gone.
Okay, you were gone by then.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing that we did do, actually, now that I think about it, during that 2008 time was we kind of doubled down on a few things too. Like where all these brands, including Quicksilver, the bigs, were just like pulling back. We actually did some ads on like X Games and did these different kind of like trial things, and they did really well, and we got a lot of notice from it. So that was actually cool to be able to get it from the higher ups of like, hey, let's double down a little bit in this moment of everybody's pulling back. Let's go for it a little bit. So there was a couple things that we got to do that were super exciting during that time.
Yeah, I really like what you say there, because I think sometimes people miss out and they get a little spooked when there's a recession. And I remember, like, I started my surf shop during a recession, and people were calling me crazy to do this. But the day I closed on my shop, and the day after I got the keys, I went and opened up the shop, and I turned on the TV, and we were dropping bombs in Baghdad. It was the start of Operation Desert Storm, and I was just like oblivious to it. But I also look at it and go, everybody else was kind of like pulling back. All the other shops were cutting brands, cutting back on orders, and here we are like, hey, we want to kind of like, fire things up. We're ready to do business. And it paid off for us. We were excited. We had the energy. And when customers came in, they could feel it. And brands were like, everybody else is doom and gloom, and you guys are just like feeling happy-go-lucky. I was young at that time, so I didn't have anything, no wisdom or anything. In hindsight, it was probably like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But I think that's a smart play for some businesses when there's, some financial headwinds coming at you. It might be a good time to kind of double down where your competitors are pulling back.
Yeah.
So, hindsight 2020, looking back, what do you think? Better to go public, or what do you think? I mean, obviously there was paydays for people.
Yeah, there was paydays, so that was definitely the plus. And then being able to compete was a big plus as well. More infrastructure, all that sort of thing. Yeah, it's a tough one when I think, it's a hard question, it's a really hard question to answer, because it could have potentially preserved the brand for a bit longer with that sort of youth against establishment mentality a bit, and things are different now. Every brand has a life cycle though, and that's the thing, is you gotta kind of strike while the iron's hot in some fashion, and the IPO was the way that the shareholders decided to go. So me just being like kind of dedicated to the core as always, like sure, I would have loved to have seen it just kind of like cruise along private and just be a rad, private company for a long time, and everybody gets paid well and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's an interesting question, but I don't know if I answered it.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.